I'm going to be doing some DIYs to upgrade my desk, both to force myself to make more intentional choices, as well as to show you guys that you don't need to buy something new to really elevate your desk setup and create a cozy atmosphere that you can be your most productive self in. I've always wanted to create a warm ambient glow effect behind my desk, sort of like this. And instead of buying something new, I wanted to make use of these very cheap normal LEDs that I rescued from the discard pile during move-out week back in college. Yes, people were tossing out perfectly useful things. I wanted to have LEDs both along the back edge of my desk as well as behind my monitor, so here's what I'm thinking. Here's the back of my desk. I'm going to be running an LED strip all along the edge, and then I'll cut it right there and attach it to a USB cable which I can connect to a USB plug that I'll stick onto the back of my monitor, and that will be attached to the rest of the LEDs. So I'll need to solder in two places. This setup allows me to control all of the LEDs with the same remote, but also still be able to quickly detach the two strips at the USB port in case I need to move my monitor around. Of course, the first thing I did was measure how much I'd need. Then I worked on connecting the USB cable and USB plug to the two LED strips. I hate soldering, and I'm also pretty bad at it and really slow, so please don't copy my technique. Okay, awesome. It has been like an hour, and here's my absolutely horrid soldering job. We have this side, which is the monitor side. That was an absolute nightmare. I stopped filming because I was so frustrated. And then there's also this side that's gonna go on the back of the desk. Let's go test it out and see if it goes up in a burst of flames or if it actually works. Okay, it's time for the moment of truth. Connector is connected. Oh, nice. Okay, that worked. So that didn't work at first. The second strand was not turning on right. At first inspection, I thought it was just dimmer, but upon closer look, I saw that only the red LED light was actually turning on. The resistances showed that, yep, I just did a bad job soldering two of the connections.
0.3.
B and R, good.
G is bad. That one's also bad.
I convinced my boyfriend to just fix them for me so I didn't have to desolder my connections. Yay! It's even now!
Yeah, you just soldered it wrong.
Okay, thanks. After that, I just installed my LEDs in place using tape, nothing fancy, and then I plugged it in for the first time and it was unreal. That's pretty nice. Are you surprised?
I'm naked, but yes, also surprised.
It's so pretty! There's no hot spots at all. This is what it looks like behind, and the best part is I can just unplug that and my monitor can be moved. I also protected the connection points with heat shrink so they don't get bent in funny shapes. Also, since these LEDs don't come with a protective covering, I taped over pretty much the entire length of the strip to prevent shorting should it ever come into contact with metal. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I've been using my giant Genshin mousepad for a while now, but I've always been bothered by how you can't see their faces when you have your keyboard in the middle. I think this piece would just work better as wall art than a mousepad. And after I made my first custom keyboard last week, I thought it was time for a change of desk pad too. I've been eyeing wool desk mats for a while, but the ones I found online were just not the right color, or not the right size I wanted, or not the right materials I wanted, or just a little bit expensive. So I thought, why not make my own? My first idea was to get some merino wool felt and stick it directly onto a cork board for extra traction. After experimenting with just the felt fabric directly on my desk, I decided that I didn't really care about having traction since my keyboard is pretty darn heavy and holds the felt in place pretty well. What I was worried more about was how I'd keep this light colored fabric clean. So I decided to attempt to make basically a pillowcase instead, sewing together two pieces of wool felt but leaving an opening so that I'd be able to slide a cork board in and remove it if I ever wanted to wash the outside cover. And yes, I am aware wool can shrink when washed, so good thing cork is super easy to cut and resize should that happen. And just like that, I created my own easily washable wool felt desk pad in the exact shade of green and exact size I wanted. There are things you can DIY, but there are also things that I suggest not DIYing, and one of them would be your desk chair. This is probably the most important part of your desk setup ergonomics-wise since you're going to be spending so many hours in it, so don't skip on your desk chair. This is my current desk chair, which I've had for over 6 years after inheriting it from someone else, so it's old. And it's not the most comfortable as I spend long hours at my desk, and with my shrimp posture and lack of chair adjustability, I invariably suffer from back and neck pain all the time. So when FlexiSpot reached out to let me try their C7 ergonomic chair, I was pretty stoked. I really hate assembling assembling furniture, and let me tell you, this chair is extremely heavy with lots of metal in its construction. So if you have chicken arms and poor spatial reasoning like me, you probably need someone to help you for certain steps. But overall, I found the instructions to be pretty helpful, and I was able to do like 90% of it all by myself, which I am pretty proud of as someone who frequently offloads tasks like these to my personal mechanic. In my week of testing it out, and keep in mind, I sit for most of my waking hours every day, which is definitely not recommended. Please go out and touch grass, my friends. I think it's so much more comfortable than any desk chair I've ever owned, and one of the main reasons is how adjustable the C7 is. One thing I love is the lumbar support cushion. You can either have it locked in position or unlocked, and when it's unlocked, it can detect subtle changes in your posture and automatically adjust itself as you move around. I like sitting upright in my chair during video calls, so it works great to support my lower back in the locked position. Then there's the headrest. It's fully adjustable to fit my head perfectly, which really prevents me from shrimp posture and reminds me to sit upright. The armrests have been a huge game changer for me. They can be raised, lowered, moved forwards, backwards, and even pivoted. I found my perfect arm position relative to my body proportion and desk height, so I can slide the armrest under the desk and still maintain that 90-degree angle at my elbows for good posture. Of course, you can change the seat height, which is pretty standard, but also even the seat depth, which is a much more rare feature that makes this chair so suitable for a wide range of heights and builds. Also, I love the backrest recline feature. You can adjust the tension of the backrest tilt as well as lock the tilt at your desired angle. One feature that really surprised me though was the forward seat tilt. I've never seen this before, so initially I was like, why would I ever need this? But actually, it's kind of nice. It lets me stretch my legs out straight, relieving pressure and preventing fatigue during long hours of sitting. I do have two complaints about this chair though. One is because I'm a relatively small person, so even at the shallowest seat depth, I still feel like the chair is too deep, and when I press my lower back against the chair, the seat butts up right against the back of my knees. The benefit though of a large seat is that I can sit comfortably cross-legged, which is nice. So it's all a trade-off in what you prefer. My second complaint is I didn't really like the plastic wheels it came with, or I don't like plastic wheels in general on my floors, so I replaced them with the rubber wheels I brought from my old chair, which I'll link in the description box below. Overall though, I think this chair is great value and it also looks really good. And did I mention that it's pink? Pink, and not like a hurt my eyes shade of hot pink. Nothing wrong with that if you like it, of course, just not my thing, but a very neutral light pastel pink. Such a dream. You can get your own C7 chair today on FlexiSpot.com. Use the code C730 for an extra $30 off. After living with a cluttered desk space for so long, I wanted to go for something much more minimalistic this time. And a huge part of achieving that look is having good cable management. There's like an infinite amount of cables I need to power my desk setup. I used a combination of existing things I had at home, like twist ties and Velcro thingies, as well as mounting tape and regular tape to secure everything under and behind my desk. Also, I do want to use my keyboard wired most of the time, so I got this coiled cable that looks so much cleaner on my desk than the stock cable. After that, I put on all the finishing touches, including all this art, to make the white wall in front of me look a little bit more visually appealing. And guys, I really suck at design, so I spent hours on my iPad trying to visualize what this would actually look like, piecing together some existing art that I already had. Also, this might not be obvious at all, but I really like cats. I don't have any yet because I don't have my life together, but maybe soon. As for decor, I was really intentional about choosing things that actually have meaning to me, such as gifts that I've received from friends, so I really believe less is more here. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, let's have a desk tour.